Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We're going to jump over to the phones. We've got the Car Pro Jerry Reynolds on the phone. Jerry, how are things going there in Dallas?
Well, a little chilly, 29 this morning, but everything else is really good.
Yeah, but you're driving a really pretty Kia.
Yes, I am. It's the all-new Sorento, which is one of their more popular SUVs. It's 3 rows of seating, and I was very surprised how roomy it was inside. They made the 2021 a little bit longer. If you guys remember, I had the Telluride earlier this year. That's their largest SUV. And
yeah, you liked that one.
I loved that one. I just thought it was a great buy. This one is very similar in many ways, just not quite as big. It's not as tall or wide or as long, although it is slightly longer than it was last year. But they completely redid this thing, and they did an amazing job, which Kia and Hyundai, every time they come out with something new for the past few years, it's really been great. This is a hybrid version. It's rated at 37 overall, 39 out on the highway. And that's amazing mileage for an SUV this size, and it's really doing it. The interesting thing they did was not only did they make it a hybrid, but they put a turbocharger on the little 4-cylinder engine. So it's kind of cool because when you're driving just normal, the mileage is certainly there, but then when you need some power to get up on the freeway or to pass someone, and that turbo kicks in, this thing will really get up and go. It's got some nice features. It's got something called quiet mode, which is a button on the touch screen. Let's say you got kids in the back that are sleeping. The quiet mode will turn their speakers off in the rear, so you can still enjoy whatever you're listening to, like KFYO, up on the front speakers. It's just, they really kind of thought of everything. It's got a nice leather interior, and it's a great package for $38,000 sticker price, which, for a 3-row SUV today is not a bad price. And then you throw in the gas mileage I drove this thing hard for 3 days and used $8 worth of gas. I probably put 125 miles on it. It was refreshing. It really was.
Yeah, so how does it compare to the Telluride as far as price and the way it drives?
Well, they drive very similar, and of course it's not as large as the Telluride, and the Telluride loaded like this one with a panoramic sunroof and all that stuff. It's gonna run 46 versus the 38 on this one. So if you can sacrifice a little of that room, the Telluride was so roomy in the 3rd row seat, and this one is not as roomy as the Telluride, but still for a 3-row SUV in the mid-size segment, it was really pretty roomy. If I had any wish at all that I could change, it would be the 3rd row seat being power to fold down, but it's actually a very simple operation to get it down and back up. They made it real easy. There's nothing cumbersome about it, but still today, when you're getting up close to that $40,000 mark, you kind of expect the 3rd row seats to be power.
Yeah.
And that was something that same way with the Telluride, which was interesting because
Jerry,
its sister vehicle, the Hyundai Palisade, does have power 3rd row seat. So, it's just in this SUV crazy world that we're living in right now, this thing stacks up really well. Now, it went back yesterday, and they sent me a K5, which is their new larger sedan. And so I'll be spending the rest of the week with that one. We'll see.
Hey, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about that 3rd row seat before you get off of that. I had a slight accident in mine, and the inspector asked, do you have a 3rd row seat? And I said, I don't know. So, of course, it's just the wife and I. But I didn't even know if I had a third row seat, and I'm wondering how important is a third row seat to the majority of Americans?
You know, it's one of two things, Dave. They either need the room, and typically it's for car seats for kids, or they want the extra cargo area. And I know a lot of people that have a third row seat. They leave it down all the time to make it easier for groceries and to get make that Home Depot trip.
As we do.
So, or they got a dog that goes back there. It's some people that I talk to. Of course, I talk to people about SUVs every single day, and some people are adamant that they want a third row seat, and others are just like, I don't care, one way or the other.
Yep.
And there's a lot of SUVs out there that are 5-passenger. We've talked about the Ford Edge a number of times. That's one that does not have a third row seat, but it's got a lot of cargo area, and that's appealing to some people.
So let me ask you this, Kia. I guess one thing that I've kind of noticed is they don't seem to hold their value the same as like a Honda or a Toyota would.
No, they haven't yet. It has certainly gotten better over the past, I'd say 3 to 4 years as their vehicles have become more popular and they finally shed the poor quality issue that plagued them for a lot of years. And it was very smart on the part of Hyundai and Kia both to come out with that 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That puts a lot of confidence into people. And so now, Matt, their resale is not as good as a Honda or Toyota, but honestly, nothing is. I mean, Honda and Toyota they've got decades of, customers who are so loyal to them that they buy them again and again and again.
Yeah.
And so, and they'll go so long. You just don't see that many of them on the market used unless they were originally leased.
Yeah. So what you got going? What do you have going on over at carprousa.com?
Well, I got all my December things that I always put in there. Talking about December incentives and why December really is the best month of the year to purchase.
Yeah, especially in December. Look at new cars versus the used because you may get a better deal on with the incentives, right?
Absolutely, and the used car market always drops in January. So if you're looking for a bargain on a used car, I'd wait. But if you're looking for something new or you qualify for tax code 179, I've got all that information there if you're a business owner or self-employed. And my annual list of the top cars I reviewed in 2020, all of which we talked about here on KFYO.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jerry, one thing is you're always positive. You try to keep it positive. Every now and then you say you didn't really like a car, but you still try to keep it somewhat positive. Are you ever going to do a list of the worst cars that you drove?
I never thought about it, but that's not a bad idea at all. Because, cars are so good today. You can always find something that you like. And then I always point out things that are, might be offensive to people, including fuel economy. The fuel economy is bad, but, the horsepower is great, sort of like that Ram truck I had a few weeks ago with 700 horses. I said right in the review, hey, the fuel economy on this thing sucks.
Yeah.
But it got 700 horses.
Yeah.
Can't have both.
I'd rather have the horses.
Well, as long as gas is around $2 a gallon, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Jerry, you talk about cars being better today. There's no question. Cars today will run longer than I can remember back in the day where you had to put a new muffler on a car every year or two because they rusted out. I can remember where you only got 10,000 miles off a set of tires, and spark plugs. You had to change spark plugs all the time, and there was a tremendous amount of maintenance in cars back then, and they weren't even approaching the quality of the autos they make today.
No, it's night and day. And you're like me. You remember when you had to pump the accelerator to get a car to start, and then if you pumped it too much, You flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them had a choke on them.
Well, Jerry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're completely
okay.
out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. Remind everyone you're going to be on 11 to 1 on Saturday right here on 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Your website is carprousa.com. You can see everything we kind of talked about. And I guess both the Kias will be up on Monday?
Yes, they will. And I wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I'll be back with you right after the first of the year.
That sounds good. Merry Christmas. See you in a couple, 3 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. Have a good day. So Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We'll be right back.